Chapter 2, Little Weirwold. Willie gave a short start and opened his eyes. In a chair opposite sat Tom, who was drinking tea and looking at a book. Sammy, who had been watching the slight twitching movements that Willie had made in his sleep, now stood at his feet. Tom looked up. "You feeling better?" he asked. "You's looking better." He poured him out a mug of hot, sweet tea and handed it to him. "Here, you get that down you." Willie looked apprehensively at his feet, which were now being sniffed by Sammy. "He won't harm you," said Tom. "He's a spry old thing, but he's soft as butter, ain't you, old boy?" And he knelt down and ruffled his fur. Sammy snuggled up between his knees and licked his face. "See," said Tom, "he's friendly." Willie tried to smile. "You want to learn something, what'll make him happy?" He nodded. "Hold one of your hands out, palm up, like that." And he showed the inside of his rough brown hand. Willie copied him. "That's so he knows you ain't going to harm him, see? Now, hold it out towards him and tickle his chest." Willie leaned nervously forward and touched Sammy's fur. "That's the idea. You just keep doing that." Willie stroked him. His fur felt silky and soft. Sammy gave his fingers a long lick. "He likes you, see? When he licks you, that's his way of saying, 'I likes you, and you makes me happy.'" Willie held his hand out stiffly while Sammy lathered it with his tongue. "Why does he sniff?" he asked, as Sammy crawled under the blanket to get to his legs. "He likes to know what everything smells like, so he knows who to say hello to and who not to." "Stop it," said Willie, as Sammy put his nose into his crutch. "Naughty dog." Immediately, Tom dragged him from under the blanket and he began barking and chasing his tail. "You getting him overexcited, Sam. He needs a good romp in the fields." And he looked at Willie, "And I reckon you do and all," he thought. Willie pushed the blanket to one side, wormed his way to the end of the armchair and slid onto the floor. "Smells like rain," said Tom, leaning out of the front window. "You got gum boots?" Willie shook his head. "No, mister." "Best put your Macintosh on, anyways." The three of them trooped out into the hallway. Willie stared at the ladder. "That's your room up there. Sort of attic." "Mine?" He didn't understand. Did Mr. Oakley mean he was going to have a room to himself? Tom handed his Macintosh and nodded. Sammy leapt up excitedly. "Hang on a minute, Sam, we'd just go in." Tom looked at Willie's Mac on the way out and noticed how thin it was. They walked down the pathway and out of the gate, Sammy leading, Tom striding after him and Willie running to keep up with them. It was late afternoon now. The sun hung in a fiery ball above the trees. A mild breeze shook the leaves and a few dark clouds scudded across the sky. Sammy ran backwards and forwards, barking ecstatically. "That dog's half mad," Tom said to Willie, but found out that he was walking to the air for Willie, who was several yards behind. Still trying to keep up, cheeks flushed with the effort. "You're a quiet un. Why didn't you tell me I was going too fast?" But Willie could not answer, and only gasped incoherently. Tom slowed down, and Willie walked more easily beside him. He stared up at the gruff old man who was so kind to him. It was all very bewildering. He looked down at Tom's heavy brown ankle boots, his thick navy overcoat and the green corduroy cap with the tufts of white hair sticking out at either side. A small empty haversack dangled over his shoulder. "Mister," he panted, "mister." Tom looked down. "Can I carry your bag, mister?" Tom mumbled something to himself and handed it to him. Willie hung onto it tightly with both hands. The narrow road sloped gently upwards. Willie could just make out, in all of the speed of their walking, the wild hedgerows flashing in low green lines beside him,